start, so you can just play the music instead. Another one that some way, somehow we found a way. And I think, you know, it sounds repetitive each and every week, you know, in the last, at least the last few weeks. But the resiliency of this team and finding a new way to get it done tonight. I think, you know, obviously there's a lot of things that go into it. We didn't play great on, you know, I think in the first half offensively by any means. Defensively, the second half, you know, bending a little bit too much and you know, just I think tackling probably fell by the wayside a little bit, being aggressive. And but another new way of putting a hand on an extra point and picking it up and running it back for another 2 points. So the special teams again for us made the difference. We didn't block a punt, but we did force them to, you know, obviously bad snap and take a knee on the 6-yard line. So all those things added together, we again found a way for these seniors more than anything to send them out the right way.
Questions?
You know, back-to-back games without passing for 100 yards?
I don't always look back at the stats, but I'm sure that that's probably one that's, you know, hopefully is going to last a long time. And we probably won't have one like that again, but or two like that again. But you know, sometimes you got to take what they'll give you, and you got to give them some credit. That's a good football. That's a good defensive football team. You know, they've done a really good job up front. They gave us some trouble. I don't want to make excuses that weather was not a factor. I believe. I think, but you know, the week with the Dez, you know, being banged up and not really being able to go most of the week. If you'd have asked me, and I know I wouldn't have told you on Tuesday or Wednesday, it was probably going to be Ben's time and Ben's turn, and we had the utmost confidence in Ben. But as the week progressed, you know, Dez showed us something, and you know, from what he's done for us in this program, this team both last year and this year, we had to give him the respect that he said he could do it. He said he could go, so we went with him. But we trusted him that if he didn't really believe that he could do it, that we had the confidence in Ben to be able to put him in anytime.
The last 2 weeks, Quincy Roche has been probably the best player in this conference. What were you guys able to do to limit him and keep him from being as disruptive as usual?
Well, I think we did a good job of mixing some things up a little bit more. You know, our ability to get on him, our ability to play off him, our ability to buzz underneath him. You know, we don't change it up nearly as much, but we have done a much better job since the ECU game of just having the ability to be in throwing lanes and giving the back end guys more help than just rush. You know, we expect the guys up front to get rushed, but I think we're starting to see us play a little bit better even at the linebacker spots of getting in throwing lanes and making it more difficult for quarterbacks to take some of those easier throws when they know they're getting one-on-one coverage.
You mentioned Dez's health. How do you feel it will go forward? Do you have kind of a cutoff in your head of where you feel like you won't be able to go?
No, you know, I mean, I hope. I mean, I don't think he got any shots tonight. So we'll be able to assess. Obviously, we got an early week. We'll be able to assess him a little bit more tomorrow. Last week was tough. You know, he really couldn't go early in the week at all, and you know, so we had to do some things, and you know, but nonetheless, I mean, again, too, you had to prepare that you weren't exactly sure what the weather was going to do as well. So, but that's no excuse. That's just our ability to make sure we can adapt and do what we need to do to find a way to win.
Coach, another game where the special teams units come through huge for you. Can you talk a little bit about the job that Brian Mason has done?
He does a great job, and you know, all the coaches that combined into working with him, they do a great job too. I think it's the emphasis. I think it's, you know, when you look out there and you're seeing the starters, not across the board. Obviously, the punt team is probably pretty much all starters, but there's at least 2, 3, 4 guys on every unit. But our ability to do what we do, but be sound, has really created a lot of issues for other teams, not just on the punt block team, but even on our kickoff team. You know, even a little bit more on the kickoff return team. But there's been an incredible amount of emphasis that obviously he's done a lot of it. But you know, you got to get those guys to believe and buy in when they're going out there and not just catching passes, but covering a punt or covering a kickoff and not just running the football. You know, it takes a lot of work. You know, not just fundamentally, but mentally, to make sure those guys are all on the same page, believing that how important this stuff really is.
To win the division just the way you did, fight, energy, passion? I mean, does it surprise you when you guys fight like that each and every game?
I don't know. I kept saying that this was going to be a battle of endurance. I really didn't know that it was really going to be a complete battle of endurance, coming down to the last very bit. But we've kind of gone through the ups and downs, and I think emotionally, it's taken a little bit of a toll on us, all the way back from ECU to the travel to all these night games. I think we might have more night games than anybody else in the country. I think all in all, some of those things, maybe they take a little bit more of a toll on you. But again, these guys continue to find a way to endure whatever it is they're asked to do, and whether it's not the prettiest thing in the world, they find a way to win.
Does that become a skill at some point when you're able to pull out?
I honestly, finding a way to win, believing that you can win, and winning is a skill. I mean, we say we're going to do that in recruiting. We want to take guys from that know how to win, from programs that win, not just because they're the best players, but it's contagious. Winning is contagious. And if you're a guy that's a winner by nature, it's going to permeate around. And right now, that locker room's full of a bunch of winners, and it's hard to beat a bunch of winners.
The blocked extra point, that's not a play you can really practice. So
No, we work at it,
do you?
but
What can you practice to
no, I mean it's we work at it every single week, and it's not it's not something that just happens. Let's just say that's why I said to these guys before the game. It's not just by chance that you guys are in this position with an opportunity to win the league. An opportunity to host a championship game. It's not just luck, it's all the stuff that you've done and all that you've done. So yeah, it takes maybe a ball to be kicked a little bit lower, but it takes some, from week in and week out, from week one where we just stuck Mets in there and, just adding a little bit more pressure to kickers when you got a guy at 6'9", and you got guys like Elijah Ponder and Brooks and those guys that are, giving all out effort up front. You can't relax one bit.
I know when you were in Columbus, I think it was 2009, maybe the end of the game against Italy, when you took a 2-point conversion all the way to the house.
Yeah.
When you're a coach, do things like that sort of stick with you and you think, hey, anything's possible on any given play?
It is. We continue to say, do not relax. Do not relax. I mean, and we put an emphasis on, obviously, with their return game, the way it had been. Sometimes, you got Jimmy back there punting the football, and you think it's gonna be a fair catch 90% of the time. And the reality is, you can't relax, because that one time is going to make a difference. The thing that I think that our special teams, Brian Mason and those guys have done the best job of is learning from the things that have happened to us. We put our hands on a blocked punt that cost us a touchdown right before the half and a lot of momentum in the Tulsa game. For them to learn from things like that, to realize when you can pick the ball up, when you can't pick the ball up, when you got to get away from it. That's our opportunity tonight to make a difference. To Kobe Bryant, to realize when you can't pick that thing up, when you can take those chances. And those are the things that you got to be able to do as you go through a season, especially where we are and the ways we got to win. We got to create every opportunity we can.
Could you see from where you were at, Kobe, scan the field before he picked it up? He thought about hard whether he was going to do it.
He may have. I hope he thought about it a little bit longer than what Derek was thinking about it on that last one. Because if he didn't make it about another 2 seconds, I think I would have ran out there and tackled it myself. But that's one of those situations we haven't done enough of. How you end a game when you intercept the ball like that and you just go down. But I trust that he says he knew what he was doing, but I wasn't waiting much more than about 2 seconds.
You still have some things in front of you, but what does having the opportunity to play for a conference title represent about the resiliency of this senior class?
Well, I think the other thing that we got to make sure we recognize is the strength of this conference too. There's some really good football teams. I know that we're 10-1, and some people might say, they just keep squeaking by. I know that, but this conference is really good. There's some really good football teams out there. For these guys to do what they've done in the midst of a conference that's a lot better than a lot of people probably give it credit for is what I'm so proud of. I told these guys, I don't know if I've been through a season where we've had as much adversity. And everyone said, what adversity you got? You've lost one game. No, we've had more guys go down this year, I think, than any year that I've ever been a coach. I mean, out for the season in different ways. The near losses, I told them in the locker room afterwards, from the second game of the year where we took a butt whooping, and how to figure out how to move past that, because it cost us a week and a half or so. And then our ability through those bye weeks to figure out what we needed to do to create more energy and have a little bit more joy in what it is we were doing as we move forward. These guys have battled through a lot of things that had you told me that we could have a chance to be in this position and some of the things that we were gonna go through, I would probably told you no way.
Seniors with coaching change in 2 4-day seasons that they've been through in their career, obviously.
That's, people ask, how do you have resiliency? I said, if you don't go through hard times, it's really tough to have resiliency. And it'll be the next challenge for us as we move forward, as we get guys that haven't, that come in here that haven't been through the tough times, haven't experienced that 4 and 8 or that near 1 and whatever, those really tough times to give you the opportunity to pull out games like this, or even last week. You know, it just doesn't happen by chance. And the best thing is we'll have to figure out a new way to create that kind of resiliency without giving them a 4-win season.
Very good.
Good.